guys and gentle hares and fine dolls amongst you all. This is an la900. These things are a pain in the ass to work on. And this one is a prime candidate for having to have everything in here taken out. I'm going to spend probably a good portion of today and a little hunk of tomorrow getting this thing taken apart and put back together. So the first thing that we noticed right off the hop was we got good lights and LED indicators, which to get, we have to remove all of these LEDs and we're going to have to remove all of these switches. The high, medium, and low switch is busted. And right now as it stands, there's absolutely no way to talk through this amplifier. None. What do I mean? I got my input and output coaxes hooked up. The amp is off. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, audio. Everything we're putting into it, minus maybe a watt, is coming back as reflect. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. You can see the needle twitching, but not very well. Now how this circuit works is it comes in through a disc capacitor over here, down here. Comes down through this disc capacitor, hits a trace, which has got a diode on it, and then that trace goes to the relay. I didn't even notice the relay wasn't hooked up all the way. Oh, damn it. These things are such a pain in the butt to take apart, you guys. I wish you could understand. But even, even with it on, and we're able to fool the thing into thinking that it's going to work. No output power even then. So first off, we got to figure out which direction the RF is heading in this amp and figure out what we got to do to make it so we can at least talk through it. Which that means all the positive wires come out, all the ground wires come out, all the switches come out. I'm going to have to take the high, medium, and low switch apart and repair it. And then we got to pull the whole board out after we remove all the LEDs. So I'll see you guys in about an hour and a half. So I got to thinking. Never seen one of these with the relay in a socket before, but that don't matter. Let's do this. I'm going to go and probe here. As you guys can hear, I've got continuity from here to the input. Now let's go probe from here. So I got continuity through it. $6 million question, which I haven't checked yet. I got short to ground. Am I even on the right thing? Yep. Just really not wanting to take this apart. It's so time consuming. Okay, I got a short to ground on the input. It's got to come apart. Man, I hate taking these things apart. Okay, it's not like you got anything better to do with your life. Shit, I shall return. Well, here we are about an hour and a half later. I got the box ripped apart. This inductor choke here smoked and it shorted directly to ground. It's not really necessary for the function of the amplifier, so I'm just going to remove it, and once that happens, then we'll have the ability to talk through it. There was a piece of solder schmoo, little tiny flake of solder that was stuck to this trace right here. This trace goes around and goes to this contact point, which is the input. This trace here, we jump around to the top side. This is trace here. So I had to take all this apart because of, well, shitty repair work that had preceded me. Now, just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, let's take a look at the inside of the amplifier. This is the case. If we go and we look specifically here, that's a blob of solder. Manual focus, please. That's a big old hunk of solder. All of this paste is full of solder flick, and all underneath this board was just full of solder flick. Now before we go and put it back together, we're going to go ahead and we'll square this up. As we can see, this is way out of whack. This is Radio Shack silicone solder or thermal compound, which I think we've come to all uniformly agree that this is about the shittiest thermal compound money can buy. Solder flick, piece of wire, another solder flick, another piece of wire, more little hunks of wire. It's all shit. That's just what's in the thermal compound. So you can only imagine what was floating around underneath the board. But that's the reason that I'm here at the moment. Now, are the transistors any good? I have no idea at this point. I couldn't get any input signal to the transistors to be able to tell, to be honest with you. So I don't know. I know we're going to clean this up real good and put it back together. I got to be able to go back to my guy and say, well, I was able to get it to talk through it, and I was able to get this to work and able to get that to work, and you know, this is part of the process. I just hate working on these things because they're such a pain in the ass to work on. This is our high, medium, and low switch that was banged in so hard that you couldn't get it to go through the motion, and what had happened was that all this shit just falling off of this thing. Widen up here a little bit. This is our high, medium, and low switch. Since the chances of being able to find this switch in a new replaceable state are 0 in today's day and age, we got lucky. I think that we're going to be able to put this back together. If I'm super careful on how I do this, I should be able to get this to come back together into one piece. It got banged so hard that the switch, the actual rocker arm that moves on the inside, had popped up out of its holder and was sitting sideways in the switch. So, needless to say, by some weird funky miracle, we're able to get this put back together. So now I just got to restake these tines over, rebend this over, and this switch is repaired. Thank you, Jesus. Okay. That's a huge load off my mind. These switches are unobtainium. Exactly the same style. You can get them pretty close these days, but you gotta think, man, these were made in the 80s. So here we are 40-something years later. I might be able, if I really scoured the internet, and I know there's going to be some sarcastic bastard, look, I went and it took me 2 seconds. No, it didn't. Stop your fooling. Nobody believes it. Just be quiet. It's okay. There's no reason to draw attention to yourself. You can take a little bit more time than that. Okay. So, in theory, if I remove this inductor off this board, I should be able to put this pile of garbage back together. Hunk of shit. These are actually not that bad of an amp. They're really not. They're just a freaking snatch job to take apart. It's because all the LEDs on the front and then the switches. But we'll smear down some new thermal compound. I'm going to create a spacer that sits underneath here. Probably made of some, I don't know, cardboard. Novel, right? That will sit in here to help us not have to come back in here ever again. And just this whole corner is just full of shit. I'm gonna clean this up real good. Clean this up real good. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. Successful progress. This makes me happy. We can now talk through the amplifier. Cha-chow. All right. Now, let's put it all back together and let's check to see if our transistors are good or not. Yay! Well, if this works right out the hop, I'm going to be really surprised. 1,000 watt slug at peak, 1,000 in average, 5 watt slug in reverse. So, let's go through our functions here first. LED works, power LED works, AM light works. So we will start out in low. Let's do this first. Hello. I can talk through the box. Hello. Oh, hello. Hello. 500 watts on low. Hello. 700 watts on medium. Hello. 750 watts on high. And that's on 12 volts. Hello. Pulling 92 amps. So, I just wonder what will happen when we raise the voltage up. I bet you it'll be around 900 plus watts. It's 12290. Driving 4 2879 Toshibas. This box fully works. All we had to do is take it apart and clean the solder schmew out of it. It's cool. Now the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little piece of foam to the top of the relay. So when this thing's sitting upside down, if it's bouncing down the road, we don't accidentally have the relay fall out and come disconnected. I have never seen one of these with a relay put in it like this. Ever. Never have. Never ever have I never ever have I never ever have had. Okay. Hello. 1,000 watts. And people wonder why I prefer these things in actual operation to a Texas Star. Just saying. Same exact components that are in a 667, but hello, 900 plus, and that's with only 20 watts of drive. This could probably do about 35-40 watts worth of input power and be just fine. Hello. Yeah, about 900 so. Hello. Yeah, 925, 930. No problem. Huh. I'll be damned. I mean, don't get me wrong, these are good boxes. They work well, they get good power, they're relatively clean. They're not built like every other stupid thing that's out there on the face of the earth, you know, same transformer, same. It just goes to show you that you can get almost the same amount of watts out of these smaller transformers as you can out of the bigger ones. These will get hotter, but I mean, just think about it. Heavy duty leads coming in to power each one of the transistors, feeding the transistors, not feeding it through the transformers. Each section's got its own independent wire. Now, what these guys really were famous for in the day is they would bring the positive wire back to a nut that had a little tiny insulator on it. Well, these things get hot, right? And I've seen several in the years where the insulator starts to break down. Let's make sure our fans are working okay. They are. Insulators start to break down, then they'd have a hard short on the back of the cabinet. So in the later versions, they went to this style of wire with this kind of connector. It's worked out well. Hello. Used to have one of these when I was a kid. I was dating this girl named Boston, right? And where I was living, I couldn't have an antenna up at that house, so I had a dipole run up the middle of the house, like a, a piece of wire. That was it. And then I had a single battery and a little charger and 148 export DX model. I'd run that into this. But man, when them guys come, the neighbors would come hooping and hollering at me. Oh my God. I'd just key down and say hi to somebody and they'd come running. Get out that goddamn radio. Hello. Okay, so the only thing I see not working is our transmit light. And we have voltage to the transmit light is a $6 million question. All right, let me diagnose that one little thing. Well, that wasn't too complicated. I just had to replace the whole circuit. The traces for the TX light come in directly on this side of the board where screws go in and broke the trace. And then it was broke after that. And then on the positive feed side that feeds this side of the LED, it was broken 3 more spots for whatever reason. So I just ran a new positive wire with a new resistor, put a new LED in it, ran a new wire over and hooked it up to our key-in circuit the way it's supposed to be stock. And voila, hello audio. We got transmit light coming out to audio. Hello audio. I just love these little things. They really get with it if they're set up properly. The only thing I don't like about this box, other than it's a ball smash to work on, incredibly time consuming to repair, is this here. This is our bias resistor for our load. Just takes the, we'll say 14 volts that comes in and it knocks it down. That passes by a resistor to ground. That goes through a trimming resistor, and then that's what applies our bias. It's this circuit right here. It's constantly on. Not a big fan of that. That's why I put relays in mine and I switched the bias off to help pull that heat out of the amplifier. So if you put your hand down on this side of the amp after the thing being on for a few hours, you're going to feel heat in a cabinet. It's not from the box being hot from operation, it's from this resistor making it hot. Well, that's it. Done. I'm going to build up a little foam pad for this relay to sit on to help pin this down. It now has a cardboard liner that comes out to about here, so we never have to worry about anything getting in there, on there, causing this problem ever again. It's been a while since I took one of these apart. It wasn't quite nearly as teabag as I thought it was going to be. I mean, normally I have very fond memories of taking one apart here just a couple months ago, and I remember thinking it was like Joe Exotic nuts on my forehead, literally getting teabagged. The only difference was the lock knot hitting me on the forehead as the motion was taking place. It was pretty bad. This wasn't that bad. For some reason, this one just wanted to come apart and get repaired and go back to life. It's got really nice thermal compound now underneath all the transistors. The cardboard's cut out around this driver transistor, but One 2290 driving 4 2879s biased, making 1,000 watts in a little tiny package with factory approved, factory installed cooling kit. The la900. I'm sure this won't be the last one I have the pleasure of working on, but currently it's the last one I have in the shop that I need to deal with in this round of go-arounds. Guys, I am really seriously not taking on any new work right now whatsoever. No new repairs, no new builds, nothing new. And it's been that way now for over a year. I'm hoping in September I will have myself in the position to where I can take on probably another 50 repairs. And I'm thinking possibly, but I'm not going to pinhole myself to this, 12 new builds. So I can do one per month. And they're only going to be builds like I don't want to take on any more 2-pills. I don't. Maybe a couple 2x4s, but I want them to be exotic custom builds. Like, I really want to do an all copper enclosed box. Polish it up, shinier than a brand new penny. Put all the panels together and make it all welded construction. It'd have like 4 fans in it, but it'd be heat sinkless because the body of the amplifier would be able to handle the heat absorption. This is some trick that I want to do. And I know the right guy that understands what I'm saying is going to hear this and go, oh, I want to have that amp. That'll be so unique and cool. Yes, it will. It'll be badass. So, just kind of shopping the ideas around on the different styles of builds. Like I really want to build, there's a cabinet that I'm having designed right now. Well, it's a very exotic 32 pill that I've been looking at doing. Very exotic 32 pill and a very exotic 64. I want to do a 64 that's got 2 rows of 32 in it. But the way the cooling is going to work is going to be something completely different. We're going to break the cooling on the heatsink fins up into multiple stages and have multiple different exhaust ports coming out the sides of the cabinet. More on this to come, I guarantee you. Okay, gentlemen, I'm going to run. I'm going to go do other things with other people acquiring my attention in other places. I'd like to say this was fun. It was a good way to occupy my afternoon, and I think you guys got a little bit of entertainment out of it as well. All right. I appreciate every single one of you guys. I seriously do. I'm so grateful for everybody's support, interest, and desire to want to do something and have something done and us to work on something together. I'm really quite grateful for that. So, on that note, let me know if I can help you out. Big shout out to XS. Big shout out to Sibilant. Big shout out to Bird. Big thanks to Coaxial Dynamics. Big shout out to Harbach. Big shout out to RF Junk. I'll see you, gentlemen. Thank you. See you. Bye.